So soccer, as you see, in the whole post-independence era, this is not only a case of Morocco, but you can generalize this to the whole African continent. Soccer allowed Hassan II to divert the attention of Moroccan society from its internal political confrontations and social and economic malaise to the political conflict with the Polisario and Algeria, its historical supporter. As a historical study of soccer in the context of Moroccan-Algerian relations, this article is based on nationalist papers between 1950 and 2008. So basically, I have a corpus that I got through the head of the National Library, where you have all the newspapers, and you can actually search different words, and basically it gives you a historiography to a certain extent of soccer and sports in general. And through that, you can study a lot of, you can look at a lot of other issues, not only related to the Moroccan-Algerian relations, but including issues like relationship between Arabs and Berbers, regional relations between different teams. So it's an interesting way, although I know that the anthropology of soccer in the Arab world and the Middle East in general is very limited. And I think part of what I'm trying to do is try to add to at least some of the perspective and some of the theoretical framework through which we can look at these issues. And sport I think, is an interesting way to do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to skip, because I want to leave some room for discussion, I'm going to skip a section where I look at soccer and in the African continent in the post-independence era, and also the whole anthropology of soccer in general. And you can use there are very few names that started to look at this basically by the late 1980s. You can name Bourdieu, you can name Eric Danin, Norbert Elias. These are very few worldwide known scholars who looked at this soccer and sport in general. But also, as far as the Arab world, the only general cases you can think of is one article that looks at soccer during Nasser and how the government of Nasser used soccer, but also the work by Tamir Sorek, who looks at Palestinian Arabs in Israel today, and how soccer is an important element of how to construct the Palestinian identity, as well as Jordan. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to move to the crux of the matter. So this is the first national team, actually. You can see it's a combination of French players as well as Moroccan players. This is basically L'Arbi Mumbark, who happens to be from my region. I can say that. L'Arbi Mumbark, who happens to be from Tata. He played a lot. He's played especially in the Spanish league. Very famous player. What is? You can see probably. I don't know what. Yeah, Benenbark. Yeah, they missed. So that's one of the early teams. And most of these pictures are gotten through these newspapers. And this is one of the first things that Mohammed V did, basically. He started to introduce what he called La Coupe du Trône, okay, the first throne cup in 1957. And you can see here, the king become a major player. And what Hassan II did, it didn't start with independence, but it goes beyond that. It goes to the 1940s, where he used many sports clubs, especially with that Casablanca and two clubs in Casablanca, to basically foster and link them to the national independence movement. Okay, and then I'm going to move to this vignette here. Morocco political elite, and I just want you to see the link between political elite and soccer and the king, and from there we're going to go to the Algerian case. So during the 1993-1994 Moroccan Soccer League's first division, a match was scheduled between Nahdat Satat, this is the team of Stade is a city in Morocco, between Casablanca and Marrakech, and Marrakesh, of course the famous city of Marrakesh. A match was scheduled between Nahdat Satat and Koukab Marrakesh. At the time, Nahdat Satat's president was Idriss Basri. So, born in Satat in 1938, Basri started as a police officer. So I want you to pay attention to the military and the police institution here. Officer in Rabat before being appointed to head the National Intelligence Agency and Ministries of Interior and Information. Basri played a central role in the political suppression of the monarchy's enemies, especially in the 1970s. Under his rule, he created phantom political parties to counter traditional nationalist and leftist parties. He rigged national elections, jailed opponents without legal process, and smothered political demonstrations in the 1980s and 1990s. On the other hand, Koukab Marrakesh was headed by Mohammed Mediouri, the late King Hassan II's personal security guard. Mediouri started his career as an inspector of the police in Marrakesh. He also excelled as a judo wrestler and mastered arm shooting. So most of the guards of Mohammed V now, or Mohammed VI, sorry, are all trained by Mohammed Mediouri. During the second, and he's actually now married to the former wife of Hassan II, the mother of Mohammed VI, and they live in France now. During the second coup d'etat against Hassan II in 1972, he earned the royal confidence after playing a key role in the king's survival. As the head of the Département Royal de Protection, Département de Protection Royale, basically the security guard, Mediouri was also allowed to chair not only the soccer team of Marrakesh, but also the Fédération Royale d'Athlétisme, and other national and local humanitarian associations. Basri and Mediouri are symbolic of the extent to which Moroccan soccer culture since the 1960s was shaped by the politics of security and military culture. It is no surprise that Mohammed VI distanced himself from Basri and Mediouri in the first years of his accession to the throne following the death of Hassan II in 1999. The game was supposed to take place as usual on Sunday in the municipal stadium of Settat. However, while Kokab Marrakesh, the visiting team, showed up, Nahdat Settat, the home team, never did. The referee Abdel Ali Naseri declared Kokab Marrakesh victorious after he consulted with Colonel Idriss Bamous, the president of the Fédération Royale Marocaine de Football. The news of the game reached the king, who during one of his golf games asked Basri about reasons why his home team had failed to play the game. The minister replied that his team preferred to take part in the reception of the royal ceremonial cortege as it passed through Settat on its way to Marrakesh. Basri added that, and I quote here, "The celebration of the king's passage through the city was a great honor that required sacrifice in the game," end of quote. As a result, the king put the head of the Fédération Royale Marocaine de Football, Colonel Bamous, under house arrest in Kenitra. This is a true story, by the way. He was not, I'm not basically inventing it. He was not released until the Lieutenant General Husni Ben Slimane, who later would become the head of the Fédération Royale Marocaine de Football, or soccer, intervened on his behalf and pleaded with the king to let him out of house arrest and serve as a member of the committee in charge of Morocco's bid for 1998 International Federation of Association Football World Cup, which was later lost to France. This vignette highlights the deep involvement of the monarchy in the management of the national soccer and the delegation of political elite in general and the military in particular in running clubs and managing national and international soccer contests. From its early years of independence, soccer provided a strong political platform for Hassan II, who played an active role in its development. Like Brazil and Argentina in the 1970s, and you see here a similar story with what's going on in Latin America. The king allowed the military and its general, as well as some police officers, to preside over some clubs and the national soccer teams. And as the crown prince during the protectorate, Hassan II allowed or followed the professional soccer championship in a regular manner, pledging his full support for local teams. The only team especially with that Casablanca, the only team in the colonial period whose players were all Moroccans. Because one of the French policies, you see this also, they did this in Syria, in Algeria, as well as in Morocco, where they never allowed teams to be fully Moroccan. They have a quota of Moroccans versus Algerians or Syrians. And that basically has to do with national security. It became the incarnation of Moroccan resistance to the protectorate, and in this early period operated as an official national side, channeling resistance to the French despite prohibitions on political activities. As the heir to the throne, Hassan II was directly involved with the team's players, whom he consistently called, reminding them of their responsibility towards the monarchy. So, I think we still have time. Yep. So one of the things, I want to talk only about one national team here, which is connected to the military, before I sum up by looking at what does this tell us about Algerian-Moroccan relations. After independence, Hassan II sought Moroccan support, membership to the FIFA and the